Are you allowed to create an image with AI and then trace it and use it and still get copyright protection? Let's talk to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
We've been talking a lot about how AI-generated images are not eligible for copyright protection at this time, and we got a really good question on the YouTube channel about whether or not people who are doing things like low-content books on Amazon, creating coloring books and puzzles, can generate an image through artificial intelligence and then trace it and use that without it being copyright infringement. So, Tony, can you break down the legal side of this?
Yeah, the answer is going to be no. I'm going to just cut to the chase there. But the bigger question to ask then is why? Why can that not be something that could be worthy of copyright protection? You still have to get to the heart of what copyright is all about, right? Copyright, as we've talked about plenty of videos, you can check them all out in our playlist. Copyright is an original work of authorship that is fixed in a tangible medium of expression. And while it's not explicitly defined in the Copyright Act in 1976, through specifically the originality prong and what case law has talked about, copyright protection and registration can only be a thing if it was created by a human author. Substantial human involvement is something that the Copyright Office has written and died by for years. And that has been the crucial argument, the crucial point that they have made about the only type of asset that can be protected under copyright law. So when a human makes a painting, when a human sculpts a sculpture, when a human makes a film or a television show, that type of content, that type of material is going to be worthy of copyright protection. However, if it's something that is not human, like let's say a monkey taking a selfie of themselves, or even something generative AI based, that is not worthy of copyright protection because it lacks that substantial human involvement requirement that is so essential to copyright. And going back to the originality prong in that definition, that I think subtly touches on the human authorship requirement, because originality is just something that is conceived of the mind. And again, it's an idea that you have that then you take that idea and you can express it in some form, some tangible means, whether, again, that's by way of artwork, sculptures, film, television shows, anything that is covered as a work of authorship under the Copyright Act of 1976. That is something that non-humans are incapable of doing. A generative AI cannot come up with the idea naturally for a coloring book. Why? Because the way most, if not all, generative AI are created, they're basically, I think, language-based models. I think that's the actual name that's been given to them. These are models that where basically the engineers, the developers of these AI platforms have given source material to these platforms, and then the platform just takes it, ingests it as data, scans it, and then will come up with something. But at some point, it has to be a derivative of the thousands, if not millions, of amounts of data that it has in its storage. So if you went to DALL-E or Midjourney or Stability AI and you asked it, generate a 40-page coloring book of animals, it can only do that because all of the source material that the platform has, whether we're talking about Stability, Midjourney, or DALL-E, all of it has to have some type of source to look at. So I am sure that it has millions of files of other coloring books that have been ingested in those platforms, and then it uses it to create it. That's the output that will then come out. You tracing it is not doing anything. That is not human authorship. Yeah, you're tracing it. That is all you're doing. But that is not enough to say that that is going to be worthy of copyright protection whatsoever, because again, the origin, the end product ended up coming from generative AI, and you just using your hand to trace over it is not enough to supersede the fact that the material was created by a generative AI platform. So very simply, the answer is no. We get into a little bit of a policy argument there, but at the end of the day, it drives at the core point that anything generative AI based cannot get copyright protection. And basically the position that's being posited of tracing is just something that is not, that's just going to be a very quick no, again, from the Copyright Office. And I think a lot of copyright academics would agree with me on this one very emphatically.
And of course, if you have questions on whether or not something is going to be eligible for that copyright protection, that you can legally and ethically be using content in the ways that you're hoping to use them, Drop those questions down below because Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes. We want to keep you safe and legally protected and on the ethical side of things when you are creating your content and creating profitable businesses inside of whatever it is that you are doing. So come back with those questions. And as always, you can reach out to Tony on his social media. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor. You can check out my entertainment law podcast called Unseen. New episodes drop every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Drop your questions down below and follow along for upcoming episodes helping you navigate the world of AI from a legal and ethical perspective. And make sure you drop those questions down below for those upcoming discussions with experts just like Tony to make sure that we are helping you to make this your most profitable year ever in your business endeavors. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.